Welcome back, True Seeker. It is April 2nd, 2024. Lots to talk about. I'm going to try to do it all in under an hour because if I can achieve that, then I can get to the grocery store and take care of Sweet Lady before she gets home. She's getting home early today. But anyhow, lots to talk about. And because Diddy is all the gossip, again, the point of doing these videos is not to become part of the big noise internet machine. Everyone's so worried about Diddy's life. Again, if you're new here, the point of my work is something I've been doing every day for over a decade to explain the rituals that we see taking place in the media that become the stories, that become the things people are influenced by and they talk about, and then they center their mind on that for the time being because the screen told them so. I mean, like, how many people right now are using a much higher percentage of their brain thinking about what's going on in Diddy's life and what's been going on right now at this moment because of all this coverage than they would otherwise be thinking about? And maybe if they weren't having thoughts like that, they'd be thinking more about how to better their own life or improve themselves in some way. Again, these things, in a way, they are distractions, but there's a ritualism to them. And if you've been following the timeline of my videos just in just the last few years, when R. Kelly was found guilty for his sex crimes, if you will, and sentenced to prison, we talked about why it happened on September 27th when he was 54 years old. And then last year, Clarence Avant, who founded Sussex Records, died 54 years from finding Sussex Records. And there was a picture of him when he died that all the media syndicated, and who was next to him was Jay-Z and Diddy, who both turned 54 years old later that year at the end of 2023. Sean Combs, Diddy, Puff Daddy, Puffy, Love, all the aliases he's had. Again, he turned 54 November 4th, 2023. Jay-Z turned 54 a month later, December 4th, 2023. Again, Jay-Z's birthday is the day that Fred Hampton was murdered, the Black Panther leader who was killed by the FBI in his bed. So we were talking about how important 54 is. And we were saying, Jay-Z, Diddy, they're both going to be 54. There's always been a lot of rumors about Diddy and wrongdoing. And like when his ex-wife, Kim Porter, died, it was all kinds of suspect. Anyhow, I imagine then it could be a really rough go for them at age 54. And so far, Jay-Z, he's just skated right through. His wife's doing well. She's got the new country album out. But Diddy, man, it's just one thing after the next. It's Cassie, it's Lil Rod, it's Diddy diddied his Lil Rod. I mean, it's just like a sick, obvious joke. And if you missed the work on it, we were talking all about the 54, how significant the 54 was in the ritual. If you're new here, numbers have meaning. There's a reason Tiger Woods, for example, became the big focus of everybody's consciousness who had a screen on the 54th day of the year, the other year, when he crashed in a car, supposedly. High-speed accident. They said he might never golf again. It was really dramatic. Again, we've been explaining what this 54 means the whole time. There's a reason there's a popular film from the 80s called They Live, where the enemy of the world is called Cable 54. And again, they control the screens of the world. And it's funny because that 54 number is super important to the Jesuit order, whose headquarters is at the House of the Jesu, Building 54. And funny enough, Roddy Piper died in history on the anniversary of the Jesuit founder's death, July 31st. And recently it was Bill Russell in the big Jesuit ritual on that day. And Roddy Piper also tweeted in history. If you go look at Roddy Piper's tweet where he said years after the film came out that it was actually a documentary, he tweeted that on September 27th, again, the day in history the Jesuits are recognized by Rome, which goes back to why R. Kelly was sentenced to prison on that day at age 54. Been making these same points this whole time. And if you're new here, we talk about two numbers that come together a lot with the Jesuits, 201 and 54. And here you have Chris Hansen on April Fool's Day referring, well, again, Chris Hansen's associated with like the sexual predator show, To Catch a Predator. So you have Chris Hansen 201 days after his birthday comparing Diddy to R. Kelly and saying other things about him and maybe snitched to the feds. All these headlines, all this negative press for Diddy at 54 after living, for decades on top of the mountain. Now all the dark secrets that are kind of out there about Diddy for people who are really into celebrity gossip and knowing what these people are about, it seems to all be coming to a head at age 54. Very significant number. If you're new here, gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words, Jesuit order equates to 54. The word son alone equates to 54. You think about the Jesuits who served the Catholic Church, Sunday, how they began worshiping the sun in the sky. Kobe Bryant, who died on a Sunday, the Sunday before Super Bowl 54. His full name in gematria, Kobe Bean Bryant, equates to 54. He died at 41. His daughter died at 13. Add it together, 41 plus 13, 54. Her name, Gianna Bryant, equates to 54, just like Jesuit order, just like Kobe Bean Bryant. And remember when they just put up the statue of Kobe, right before Mahomes won the Super Bowl, the latest one? They did that on the Pope's 54th day of his age, the first Jesuit Pope. We said Kobe Bean Bryant equals 54. Kobe Bryant alone equals 41. He died on the Pope's 41st day of his age, traveling from Catholic Mass. And then LeBron won the finals that year, exactly 41 weeks after his birthday, on Father-Daughter Day, after the death of Kobe and Gianna at ages 41 and 13, when 41's the 13th prime number. The letters L and A are 12 and 1, which add together is 13. They died in LA. If you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Z is 1 back to A is 26. L and A become 15 and 26, adding to 41. Again, we talk about these rituals in these cities with these numbers 1,000 times way before Kobe died. Again, I wrote a book about the significance of 54 and the significance of Kobe's career in 41 years before he died at 41 in 2017. So again, the things I'm talking about are things I've talked about a million times and was talking about them way before R. Kelly got sentenced to prison at age 54. But yeah, just understand, without going further down the number trail, I want to make another point besides the numbers. 54 and 201 are huge in this thing yesterday. And just take away that those are Jesuit signature numbers. The Jesuit order, the big ways, 201. Jesuit order, the small ways, 54. They fit together because in the 16th century, the heliocentric model was agreed to that says the sun is at the center of the world. Heliocentrism equates to 2. The sun equates to 54. We call people like Diddy stars. From what we understand about this world through science, the thing in the sky that makes life possible. I mean, everything here makes life possible, but the sun. They say the reason we don't all freeze and life can grow and survive here is because of the light from and the energy from the sun. It's warmth, it's light, the things that carry in its rays. So anyway, the star is understood as the most important thing, and then we call celebrities stars. So Diddy's a big star, but his star is burning out at age 54. Again, the language are numbers, and there's a reason that they do this system and why we're teaching about the same things over and over, like why 54 and 201 come together. They both have to do with the sun, the model, the calendar. And again, all of these things were established in the 16th century. The Jesuit order, whose headquarters is the House of the Jesuit, Building 54, look it up. Jesu is spelled G-E-S-U, the Jesuit headquarters. Remember, the Jesuits made modern Freemasonry that has the big G in its logo. But yeah, again, all of these things from the 16th century. Jesuits, heliocentric model, Gregorian calendar, which is named after the Pope. For the record, Pope equals 52, like the 52-week calendar named after the Pope. And the Jesuit priest Christopher Clavius gave us the calendar. And again, also the English language, standardized with 26 letters. And you can look all through history from that point forward and see how this system is very well in line. So yeah, it's not hard to see who's running show business. And beyond the numbers, here's the other piece. Remember, Puff Daddy, he got super famous in the early 90s because he's the head of Bad Boy Records, and Bad Boy Records has arguably the greatest rapper of all time, Notorious B.I.G., and then he's got a rivalry with Tupac, and then next thing you know, both of them are gunned down and they're dead, and they've been marketing hip-hop on this East Coast versus West Coast battle. There's a rivalry. The East Coast has the big brains and the intellectual rappers. The West Coast has the, you know, what do you call it? I guess funk music samples. It's like Tupac, or not Tupac, but Too Short would say he's always keeping it funky. Like George Clinton, not to be confused with Bill Clinton. George Clinton was the first governor of New York, and that family's who adopted Bill Clinton after his biological father died while his mother was pregnant. But that's the old school George Clinton. The newer school George Clinton that all the rappers use, along with the Isley brothers. Um, yeah, anyway, funk music and samples. But yeah, that was the 90s thing. It was like the East Coast were intellectuals, the West Coast were all about the beats, and the lyrics were a lot simpler and gangbangy, and like, because I guess that's also kind of, I guess it wasn't just like intellectualism. I guess it was like the West Coast really started promoting the whole gangster thing, you know. And a lot of the East Coast rappers, at first were kind of like rapping them for why you should stay away from those things because they're trouble. But anyway, it just started this whole thing, and then different. Again, drama sells. You see how back when Tupac, for people who are younger, when Tupac and Biggie died, if you would have turned on ESPN back then, they just ran SportsCenter over and over all day with all the highlights from the game. And it wasn't a bad thing, actually, because you could tune in pretty much at any time and see all the good plays. And like if you were into sports, you could learn, for example, the different players in each leg. I mean, you watch 30 minutes of SportsCenter, you learned a whole bunch of hockey player names, NBA players, MLB. But now they just have the talking heads all day stuck on some drama, the latest Cowboys drama. Anyway, just society's just become more and more about drama as time's passed on. And they say there's more and more estrogen in the water. And anyway, that's a whole nother subject. Or maybe it's a related subject because, certain things you can't say. I want to keep this stream up, but okay, follow this. Diddy, him and Biggie put out the album Ready to Die on September 13th. And then Tupac ends up dying on September 13th. And remember, September 13th is Caesar Borgia's birthday, where white Jesus comes from. And then they put out Tupac on the cross like Jesus on the Machiavelli album on November 5th after his death, when November 5th is very important to the Jesuit order. It's Guy Fawkes Day. But by the way, I need to emphasize a point about how you can just see how obviously Jesuit all this is if you're aware of these dates and these numbers and these patterns. Last week, I was showing how on the news they had on a Georgetown educated lawyer who prosecuted R. Kelly and is now prosecuting Diddy. And again, went to Georgetown, the nation's first Jesuit university. And Georgetown was established by John Carroll when he was 54 years old. John Carroll equals 54, like Jesuit order. Big number with their rituals over and over. But okay. Tupac, Biggie, September 13th. Now you have Chris Hansen, To Catch a Predator guy. His birthday is September 13th, And here it is right here. September 13th, 59 of all years. 59's number stamped all over Black history. Slave, Negro, Blues, Rasta, all equal 59. Motown came out in 59. Typically Black History Month. It ends on the 59th day of the year. Bad Boy Records in Gematria equals 59. But yeah, September 13th for Chris Hansen. And again, you guys say, what are the odds? Now when Diddy gets his house raided, it's on the 27th anniversary of the Biggie album coming out called Life After Death, which released March 25th, 16 days after he died on March 9th. Biggie equals 39 like New York. The New York rapper dies on 3/9. Everything's 39 in New York. Again, the United Nations, there's even 39 floors tall. MSG 39, NY 39. Again, alphabetic order, numerology applied. New York, like everything about New York's history is 39. Anyway, if you've never seen my old work on Biggie's death and Tupac's death and how Biggie's death was perfect, that both rituals are synced together, but also how perfectly synced Biggie's death was with Jay-Z, who was also a big beneficiary, but Puff Daddy and Jay-Z were the biggest beneficiaries of Biggie's death. and his death is perfectly coordinated with them. And, back then, Jay-Z was on Rockefeller Records, a play on Rockefeller. And remember the album The Blueprint when he was on Rockefeller Records, released on September 11th, 2001. And people didn't get the sick joke because in 1968, it was the Rockefeller family who pushed the project of getting the World Trade Centers built when a lot of people didn't want them because there was already a lot of vacancies in office space. So the landlords of New York didn't want more office space when there's already way too much inventory and not enough renters. Um, Yeah, if you ever see my work on New York, 9/11, the Rockefellers, it's all in my first book. My first book's huge. It like covers a million different topics and how all this stuff intersects. But yeah, so Fox News did this yesterday with Chris Hansen on April Fool's Day. Think about that. On April Fool's Day, that they have you going through this ritual again. They got everyone so focused on this. I heard somebody make the point that, society, like all the people who've heard bad things about Diddy, they feel very justified right now in this moment because they're watching the TV and they're like, see, I knew he was bad. Again, how they got people locked into a cultural narrative that they really want to participate in. They want to have a take on if Diddy's a bad guy or not. I'd say pretty much all these people on the world stage, seemingly to me, must have a clue about what we've been talking about for the last 10 years and the fact that they haven't spoken out about it. Even if they made an oath to never speak about it or it'd be them, they'd be the next headline. I feel like if you take that oath and you don't realize what you're getting into, and then once you get into it and you realize like people are dying for this, I feel like that's when it is your own responsibility to risk your own life to do what's right to make sure it doesn't go on anymore. You know, I feel like that's your responsibility as a soul and a human being. If you're part of this evil system, but that's the thing about evil people, right? If they are consciously making these decisions and they're like, well, it's not going to be me, at least not until a long time from now. Diddy would have looked at this in his early 20s, maybe younger than that when it was offered to him. Who knows? Remember, his dad was gunned down at age 33. Diddy's dad was killed at age 33 in 72. And I've been talking about all this 54. Remember, gematria is based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. Jesuit orders 54 forwards, 72 in reverse. Numbers that come together a lot as well. And the sun, the 54 thing, moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. 72 names of God in Kabbalah. The sun has a lot of different names from different religions. You start to wonder how a God could get so many different names. What if like you surveyed the world back when it was a rare thing and you met all these different people and you started to meet and learn that all these different cultures have a different belief about this God, the sun that comes up overhead each day, you know? You might learn how it has 72 names over time. That's the thing. All this knowledge is like taken and added to and built onto. And now here we are in 2024, and this is how this ancient knowledge is being used by the cabal and the media. Doesn't mean that all the people aware of this are doing bad with it, but this is what the news does every day. So anyway, you got this perfect Jesuit thing going on all the way back to 72 when his father was assassinated. That means this year is the 52nd anniversary of his father's assassination, and in 2 years, it's going to be the 54th anniversary. And Diddy will be 56 then. And I'm not even going to go down that road right now, but there's a reason the first black president was the 56th. So yeah, I could say a lot more about this, but again, I don't want to overwhelm for each story. And like I said, I need to finish, and I have a lot of stories to get through. But this is the one everyone's so focused on. And yeah, if you want to take this to your friends and family, just in like a quick soundbite elevator speech, again, talk to them about how Diddy went through, first R. Kelly went through this at age 54, and then explain how he was sentenced on September 27th. He was found guilty and sentenced to prison, or just found guilty of the crimes, and you knew he was going to do prison time on September 27th, which is the day in history the Jesuits were recognized by Rome. And now, all these years later, Diddy's 54, and it's being paralleled, these two men, and you literally have the same prosecutor, Jesuit educated at Georgetown, doing both cases when Georgetown was founded by John Carroll at age 54. And then you learn gematria and see how John Carroll and Jesuit order equate to 54. And also, anyone can look it up. These are all facts. Look up the House of the Gisu, or Gisu, Gesu. G is in gorilla, E is in elephant, S is in snake, U is in umbrella. Gisu, House of the Gisu. The address is 54. And then watch that spoof movie from the 80s about They Live, where Cable 54 is the enemy of the world. And once Cable 54 is taken out, all of a sudden people aren't blinded by the TV screen. And then again, look up the thing about Roddy Piper being the star and how the movie came out 201 days after his birthday. And then, man, I got to go back and double check what age. Was Roddy Piper born in 54? Hold up. Roddy Piper was born in 54. And again, that movie came out 201 days after his birthday. And then he tweeted on September 27th, it was a documentary. And then he goes on to die at a relatively early age on the anniversary of Ignatius Loyola's death. You can see he died at age 61. The Jesuits are the Society of Jesus. Jesus equals 61, like cross equals 61, like church equals 61, like Christian is 61, like Christmas is 61. Again, 61 represents God in sacred geometry, and gematria is geometry in language. So again, that's how these things fit together. All right, I got to move on. So the next story. Well, you got this thing going on in the world of hip hop. You have Ed Piskor, who was in the comic book business, dead at 41 on April 1st, 4-1. Kind of like how Caitlin Clark scored 41 yesterday. Her team got her 33rd win over the Tigers. Tigers equals 33. Now they're going to play in Cleveland, 33 land, just like how UConn, the women team, got the 33rd win yesterday to go play in Cleveland, the 33 city. And that game was 33-33 at overtime. But anyway, this guy is dead at age 41 on 4-1, supposedly from suicide, because he just had a woman come out recently and say that he did some stuff that was sexually inappropriate. I don't have the full story, but again, it has to do with a similar topic as Diddy. And he's in the hip hop family tree comic book artist, I guess, connection. He's dead 118 days from his birthday. Remember, in Jewish gematria, both death and homicide equal 118, kind of like how Tupac died on 118 date numerology. Plus, if you spell out 41 as a word, it equals 118. We've talked about this before with George Herbert Walker Bush and all of his 118 connections being the 41st president. There's a lot that can be said about this relationship with 41 and 118. But this is the latest example. We've been talking about it for, I don't know, probably at least since 2016 or maybe the beginning of 2017 is probably when we really started to document the 41 and 118. So anyhow, this story at the same time as Diddy, who's being accused of being a sexual predator on this same day by To Catch a Predator guy, Chris Hansen. Notice how comic book equals 41 in gematria. He's in the comic book business. And then they said suicide. It's interesting how his name in gematria, Ed Piskor, is 119 and 47, just like suicide. And he had just lost his longtime co-artist who said he's stepping away from him after the allegations. It's interesting that the man who's stepping away, his name is Jim Rugg, which is also 41. Two days after he said that he's separating his business relationship with him, his artist relationship with him, you got the suicide story on 4-1 at 41. And it's like, is that what really happened? Imagine if that's how it is in show business, you know? To get that big contract from this snake den that does this, you know, they just kind of hint that, hey, you do this, yeah, you're going to be happy today, and you might be happy for many years. Yeah, there's going to be a price to pay in the future. Guy's like, I don't care, man. I'll pay that price. It sounds too good to be. I mean, I just know so many people in this world would go for it. They'd be like, okay, it's in the future. I'll deal with that then. But then they don't realize it's like this. You know, for all you know, that woman who made the headlines, maybe she's given some payola to make the story. Maybe she's like, whatever, I didn't like that guy anyway. Maybe one time he was too forward about something. Now it all gets exaggerated. You don't know how this really went down. But just imagine that this isn't exactly right. He's getting shamed in the media. His business partner's like, I'm stepping back. And who knows, maybe he's given a tip that he needs to step away and make that headline. Or else, you know, there could be problems for him too. So these other people just clear the path, and then this becomes the story, and then he looks like this guilty guy. It could also be that he's a guilty guy and he killed himself at age 41 on 4-1. I mean, that's what the media would have you believe every day, that that's just what's going on. But we know the media is not honest. That's the other thing. The media is like dishonest and ritualistic, and that's why we started looking at this numbers thing anyway. So I just look at the bigger picture and I say, this looks like another sick joke. Maybe that guy was at home trying to lawyer up and be like, yo, this isn't true. I got to do something about this. This is costing me my business partner. The next thing you know, he's dead, and the story is it's a suicide when it wasn't. So anyway, RIP to him too. If he was a bad man, that's where that phrase comes. Only God can judge me. And again, you don't want bad people in society. And bad people do deserve certain consequences. And sometimes they might be self-inflicted if the story was true. So for all the people, again, who think that story just went down that way by the numbers and that's just the way the world's working, that's possible. But again, does all this stuff each day just seem organic, or does a lot of it seem like, wait a minute, it's getting way too ritualistic? Case in point, you tell me right here. We've been talking about all the stuff going on in Baltimore. The owner of the Orioles dies right before the baseball season starts on the 83rd day of the year, when the Orioles last won the World Series in 83. He dies March 23rd, which happens to be the anniversary of the opening of the Key Bridge. Also, the anniversary of the opening of the Hyundai Company, when the Hyundai Company owned the boat that crashed into the Key Bridge just a few days after his death. And then we had a collapse, and in Gematria, collapse is 83. Like NC State Wolfpack's 83, like Cinderella's 83, first time in the Final Four since 83, 41 years ago. They got their 41st win in the tournament. NC State going to the Final Four for the first time in 41 years, when Duke equals 41. And again, R.J. Barrett's brother died the day NC State upset Duke in the ACC tournament. He died at age 19. R.J. Barrett left Duke at 2019. Both teams upsetting to advance to face each other was 19 days after Jimmy V's birthday anniversary, who coached NC State in 83 and who died at Duke's hospital. But there was just this huge ritual that we saw coming with Duke and NC State based on the death of R.J. Barrett. 83-41. It's the same thing I'm saying with Baltimore, how 1983 was the last time they won the World Series 41 years ago. Baltimore has that gematria 41. And now the president of the team who won it with the Orioles in 83 is dead. And he also won the World Series with the Red Sox 3 times. So he's won 4 World Series, the first with the Orioles, 3 more with the Red Sox, and now he's dead at the start of the 4th month as baseball's getting underway. Now, again, it matters. 1983, when the Orioles won, in light of the current owner dying on the 83rd day of the year, and 83 being 41 years ago, because one more time, Baltimore equals 41. Key equals 41. The Key Bridge just collapsed. Collapse equals 83. The Key Bridge came down on the 86th day of the year. Key Bridge equals 86. Key is 41. Key Bridge is 86. 86 weeks after Nancy Pelosi came down on her birthday. She's from Baltimore. She's out where the Golden Gate Bridge is, though, as a politician, but born in Baltimore. But it came down 86 weeks and one day after she shook hands with the Singapore Prime Minister on Francis Scott Key's birthday. And the Key Bridge 86 weeks later. So you have all these crazy rituals just happening, and now the president of that team is dead for the Orioles. And this reminds of Baltimore losing all these football-related players from the Ravens right as the football season was getting underway, and then they went to the AFC Championship. We thought it would be Chiefs and Ravens in the AFC Championship before the season began. We had futures for the Chiefs and the Ravens before the season began, and we knew once the playoffs started that the Ravens were as good as dead. We saw that if the Ravens and Chiefs met up, the Ravens would fall to 5-8 versus the Chiefs, and Andy Reid could stay on 58 losses, just like how the Chiefs became 5-8 in the wild card round. This year, starting the playoffs, a whole bunch of 58 before they won Super Bowl 58. And remember, Baltimore equals 41 forwards like 41 years ago. Baltimore equals 58 in reverse. And the bridge collapsed 58 days after the Chiefs beat Baltimore. And hold on, I want to check something out real quick in baseball. I'm not sure if the game is underway yet. It might be because it's Wednesday and games start early. It's starting out right now. So look at this. Watch to see what they do with this game today. Right now, it's the top of the first, 2 outs, runners on first and second, which means a base hit would probably give a run for the Royals. So the Orioles are trying to get out of a situation if you don't follow baseball. But anyway, you see how Baltimore is 3-1 right now, and they're playing Kansas City in light of this, what I'm talking about with the NFL. Remember, Mahomes got his 41st career road win beating Baltimore in the AFC Championship. Baltimore's 41 forwards, 58 in reverse. Ravens fell to 5-8 versus Chiefs all time. Then Mahomes threw 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl to get to 41 for his career when Super Bowl's 41. So now you have the Royals and Orioles playing at the start of this baseball season on the day that um, the death of this former president of the team. So no run, score any runs. But again, on the day of this game, this president's dead from 41 years ago. And isn't it doesn't seem weird the Orioles can become 4-1? Now, just like why I always teach people, this knowledge you can use and you can take advantage of the scripts each day. But a lot of times you have to be careful because, like so often in life, there is another side of the equation. Sometimes you have a one-way street. You have like 5 things that line up in a game and like nothing on the other side. And more often than not, that's a really good sign. The one thing you do have to consider with a game like this is where Baltimore is 41, Kansas City is 32. So you'd have to consider the Orioles potentially falling to 3-2. The bridge we talked about when the bridge fell in Baltimore, it was exactly 32 weeks before the upcoming election, and no doubt infrastructure would become a big debate this year and talking point for the president setting up the election year news cycle. We said collapse equals 83, so does leap year, so does election, so does Colorado, which was huge in this year's election with their decision right before Super Tuesday, which Colorado was a part of. But yeah, again, when you pick narratives, it's just like using your brain. You're like, well, 41's huge right now. There's all these things getting paid tribute to 41 P. So you count it up. You say there's more 41s reasons for 41 than 32. So watch what happens in that Royals Orioles game today, and then watch what happens the rest of the season with the Orioles. Because if that 41 thing happens today, there's about 160 games left in the Orioles season. We've already observed some 41 stuff they've done this year. If it keeps happening, you can be like, okay, this is going to be a good number to pay attention to in the Orioles season. It's probably going to come through a lot. Again, using this knowledge for all sorts of ways. You can use it to take advantage of the rig sports. You can take advantage of it with the rig market, the rig crypto. And we've been demonstrating how. You're watching going, how? I know you're new here and you don't watch that many videos. I mean, you just watched the last couple of weeks of videos. You would know how. Been demonstrating that as we constantly do. So this man, again, his name, I just want to show you in the calculator. There's 4 base ciphers. I'm gonna have to speed this up though. I'm doing so bad on time. You see how in the 4 base ciphers his name is 86? Again, T Bridge is 86 as well. This came down on the 86th day of the year, got 86. Baltimore's on the 76th meridian, special number to the nation's history, 266. We're in the time of the 266th Pope, the first Jesuit, the Jesuit motto, "We Sus Hominum Salvator," 266. The 166 is a big secret society number, just like how the Illuminati was founded in 1776, just before the American Revolution. But anyway, the 86 is the big one, and look at his surname. His surname alone is 41, like Baltimore, like T. In the 4 base ciphers, alphabetic order forwards and backwards, and forwards and backwards with numerology. Baltimore 41, P 41. He's dead at 78 on 4/2. And again, who are we saying is doing these rituals? The Jesuits. The word Jesuit is 7842. Again, they gave us the calendar, the language, Jesuit order. 54, baseball equals 54. 54 outs in the game. Run the alphabetic order in reverse. Baseball's 162, like the number of games in the MLB season. Major League Baseball forwards is 162. Major League is 108 alone, like the 108 double stitches on a baseball. Like how 108 has to do with the geometry of the sun, moon, and earth, and how eclipses happen. Now you got this big eclipse coming, and it reminds that Israel waited to declare war on Hamas until October 8th, 10/8 on a Sunday. Talk more about it before then. I gotta speed through the rest of this. RIP to Casey Benjamin, jazz musician who's performed with seemingly everybody, including Beyonce, who's front and center right now with her new country album, but he's dead at 45. Jazz equals 45. Funny enough, while this is buzzing, you have Donovan Mitchell, who wears number 45, who started with the Jazz. You have his team, the Cavs, which also equals 45, playing the Jazz tonight while his team's on 45 wins, and he's in a contract dispute. But yeah, Casey Benjamin, RIP, and he won a Grammy for the album Black Radio. He's dead 173 days after his birthday. That's the 40th prime number. Black Radio equates to 40. He's dead right before the man who's the main name on that album, Robert Glasper. He's dead right before Robert Glasper's 46th birthday. Sacrifice 46. Like Genesis 46 begins with a sacrifice. They put out that album on the 59th day of the year. Black Radio. He also died on 331, like the number 331, which is the 67th prime. If you're new here, a lot of these deaths come back to 67 because blood sacrifice equals 67, like human sacrifice. The word satanic and soul also equals 67. Um, Jamie Foxx, who did the voice for the movie Soul, the Disney film, the animated film, when all the speculation was what was going on with him, it had a lot to do with that number 67. Soul, about a saxophonist, who dies, doesn't realize he's dead. This whole thing about, the CNN is going crazy today on Tuesday, April 2nd. Tuesday is named after Mars. Mars is the god of war. Mars has a 47-year orbital cycle. We call 47 the time number. We're always asking the question, "What is 47?" Comes up so much in rituals. We talk about it all the time. Israel, of course, was drawn up in 47, but CNN's very focused today on the upcoming eclipse and what's going on in Israel. And Netanyahu today is apologizing for blowing up the World Central Kitchen, uh, humanitarians. Just an accident. Sorry, didn't mean to kill those 7 people. But the thing I was thinking about doing this on 4/2 when the eclipse is on 4/8, 42 and 48 are interesting numbers. For example, there's rumors of world war right now. World war equates to 42 and 48. Again, Netanyahu, look into this. Netanyahu came back December 29th as prime minister. That is Albert Pike's birthday. Albert Pike penned the letter about 3 world wars to come before any of them happened. The last one was about political Zionism, and it was dated August 15th, which is the Jesuit order's birthday, and it was addressed to Mazzini, who was the second commander of the Illuminati after Adam Weishaupt, the Jesuit who founded the Illuminati May 1st, 1776. Remember, Order of Illuminati equals 201, like the Jesuit order, and Adam Weishaupt died 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. Just like the first prime minister of Israel, David Ben-Gurion, died 201 days after the anniversary of Israel's establishment, and state of Israel's 201. And 1229 is the 201st prime. And Netanyahu stepped down on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. And remember, I was going to do a real world experiment that day to go and teach about 201 in Pike Place Market in Seattle. Not long after Event 201 had gone down, and Mr. 201 Bill Gates was the co-sponsor. But I said, let's see if doing, because I'd already done it before in Seattle numerous times. I was like, let's see what happens if I go there on the day leaving 201 days left in the year. If somehow that helps the people resonate more. That was the day I was going to do a literal experiment in public to see if the way they do things by the numbers increases your odds of success. When I go to Seattle and talk for 8 hours in Pike Place Market, over the course of a day, I probably get 30 people who stop and actually talk to me. Sometimes not even that. But usually there's a group of us there, and then we interacted with even more people. But the point is, there's thousands and thousands of people going by, so it's not a whole lot of people that will stop and interact. I'm sure there's plenty of people who listen, but yeah, so anyway, the point is I wasn't able to successfully do the experiment that day because they sent out a guy with a fold-out table and a laptop and a huge speaker setup, and as soon as I showed up, he was waiting for me. He says, "Just so you know, I'm gonna be here all day for as long as you're here, and I'm gonna drown you out every time you speak." And if you guys watched that day, I mean, I tried to compete, but he was a man of his word. He was there with his super stereo setup all day, and I was like, "That is crazy." And one of the first things he said to me too, he says, "You act like something, something, but you didn't even ever sign up for the military." I was like, "Oh, so also knows that I wasn't in the military, and I've explained why I didn't go in the military. I want to sign up for the New World Order mercenary force. But yeah, again, the 42-48 thing. So World War is the big rumor, right? World War, you know, something's a brewing. World War is 42 and 48. And Netanyahu today is, the leader of the Zionist nation getting all these headlines. What's the phrase about if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen? And today blew up the kitchen humanitarians. But today is 102 days from that the guy who created that charity says he was an immigrant who showed up in New York with $50 in his pocket and became a billionaire and now runs this charity. That's the story we're told. But anyway, it just happens to be 102 days from his birthday today. And then CNN, while they got you on that, is also telling you about the eclipse on April 8th, 4/8. World War's 48 the other way. And remember, Israel was established in 1948. And the leader of the Jesuits right now, Arturo Sosa, the Black Pope, the Superior General, he was born in 1948. Next week, April 8th, 4/8. Two things CNN's focused on 4/2. And remember, the Jesuits made modern Freemasonry. Freemasonry is very much based in the Old Testament. It's very Jewish. It's based in Kabbalah, which comes from Jewish mysticism. Jewish mysticism is another 201. So is the Holy Bible. But Freemason, 42 forwards, 48 in reverse. Mason, they worship the rising star in the east, the sun, you know. Yeah, if you guys want to come read my post here, there is more information. I'm not going to go into every nook and cranny in detail, but you can just see how perfect these rituals are. And it's sick to think like some people think that everything is just being made up in the world. People get mad at you'll see like some of my haters, they'll make videos about me or leave comments and say, Dax is shield because he acts like the world events are true. And that's not true. I question everything. The point I'm not arguing is if these things are really happening or not. If they're really happening, it makes it even more sick. The point I'm showing is how it's being deliberately planned and being used to manipulate us and divide people and create the next needless war, the next needless conflict, which we'll pay for, not only in dollars, but just in the decency of the world, the children of the world, the next batch of young people they'll send off, the next batch of other age people they'll send off who might have families and children. Now all of a sudden, some of them don't have a father anymore, or more and more women in the military, maybe they don't have a mother. But yeah, all for a game that they were playing that people didn't want to see through. Should have seen through it since September 11th. Again, that's for everyone who comes there is like, how do you know this? Because I've been trying to figure it out since September 11th, 2001. I was 18 then, and I was very annoyed. I knew I was lied to. I knew it was some kind of ritual. Yeah, again, there's more about this World Kitchen that got destroyed, and the CEO of World Kitchen is, Aaron Gore. It's like, come on, Aaron Gore. But they put all in the Hollywood movies with the explosions and the blood all over, people blown up in an airstrike. Aaron Gore's there to apologize. Come on. You know how I was just talking about the 44th anniversary of the Georgia Guidestones just passed March 22nd, and again, it starts with why the Earth's population needs to be 500 million, and then it closes with "Be not a cancer on the earth." And we talked about how Kate from the royal family announced she had cancer that day, shortly after Charles announced he had cancer. We talked about why it mattered. It was the 44th anniversary of the Georgia Guidestones with the wording about cancer, because in gematria, cancer, chemo, kill, they all equal 44. Georgia equals 44. It's the fourth state in order of statehood. It's pretty much pledging a future genocide to reduce the Earth's population to 500 million. Genocide 44. Four, this number associated with death. Anyway, today in Arizona, about to have the men's final four, politician there announces he has cancer. Well, you look and you say his birthday is the 50th day of the year. Today's the 93rd day of the leap year, so it's 43 days after his birthday. But that means if you include his birthday, today's the 44th day of his age. So on the 44th day of his age, they got to come out and say, this man has cancer. And we've been documenting this for so long, cancer in 44. It was one of my first observations. I remember it was probably 2013 or 2014 because when I first in the earlier days of Sweet Lady and I's relationship, she used to really like to watch horror movies. I thought it was weird. Like, why she like horror movies so much? And I started to think about it actually because when I worked at a group home years earlier when I was going back to school, there was a lady who worked the overnight staff and she was an Asian lady and she just loved horror movies. She watched horror movies all night while quietly in the office room while she's making sure the kids are sleeping through the night at the group home. And I thought that's crazy. She watches horror movies in the group home with the children. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe there's something about sweet Asian ladies in horror movies. I don't know. But sweet lady learned long ago. She's like, I don't like the energy I'm feeling after I watch this movie. I'm like, exactly. That's why you can watch one of these every now and then, but as like your regular go-to, I don't think so. Anyway, the point of bringing this up is back then we saw A Haunting in Connecticut, right? I'd never seen this movie before. I think it was already out. I can't remember now. I don't know if it was a new movie or it was a rerun or it doesn't matter. But I saw it back then with her, and I noticed the character, they're putting him in this cancer machine to check his cancer levels, and it's just in the scene, it just had a huge big 44 on the side, and I'd been looking at this for X amount of time and realizing there was something weird going on with cancer and 44. Hey, by the way, you guys wanna look into this? Look into why we went the direction of chemotherapy. You'll find out that the guy who was high up in the medical world, who kinda is one of the main brainchilds behind going that route, radiation chemotherapy for cancer, and the phrase is, "If the cancer doesn't kill you, the chemo will." He was a Jesuit, and go back and look at what award he won in 1954. Again, that was the year that Elvis had his first concert, recording for Sun Records. We all know what happened to his daughter at age 54 recently, right after the Golden Globes, which equals 54, and alchemy, the sun is gold, so the Golden Globes is like the sun. His daughter died on 54 date numerology at age 54, right after the Golden Globes, where the guy portraying Elvis won Best Actor. Again, there's just so many 54 rituals. Cable 54, they live. You learn this, you get the joke of that movie. Oh, yeah, cancer and 44 over and over. Why does he have to announce on the 44th day of his age? I'm telling you, these guys, like, there there's a headline right now. There's a famous AP writer who just died at age 90, and everyone syndicated the same story. Doesn't matter if you read it on Fox, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, any of these networks. They all syndicated the same story. It talks about how he's dead, his wife survives him, and his wife was an important coder in the CIA's history. I'm just like, "Oh my god, now everyone's syndicated the same story." This longtime writer for AP who dies at age 90, and he's been writing, like, his whole life. He's been married for all these years to a CIA coder, and, of course, the CIA was established on the 201st day of the Pope's age, and the words in their logo are 201. It's like their motto adds up to 201. Anyway, Gisele got in the news yesterday on April Fool's Day, talking about how much she misses Tom. And remember when Tom won the Super Bowl at age 41, did that over LA, which equals 41, before Kobe died at age 41 in LA. Before Kobe died the Sunday before the Super Bowl, where Mahomes put it away with his 41st pass at age 24 after Kobe number 24 dies. Now this year, right after the Kobe statue, 3 days later, he wins his third Super Bowl, the 24th playoff win for Missouri, the 24th state. Well, I should say the Kansas City Chiefs, who are in Missouri, 24th playoff win. But does it in 2024 with his 89th win. 89 is the 24th prime. Anyway, we've been talking about football by the numbers forever, on the field, off the field rituals. This news on April Fool's Day was 521 days after their divorce. And the day they divorced was the day the Great Balls of Fire singer died, and Bill Gates' birthday, who just gone through a divorce by the numbers, with Melinda French Gates from the family of Jesuit priests with the August 15th birthday, the same day as the Jesuits when he's Mr. 201. William Henry Gates, 201. Tom Brady, born 201 years after the nation, the Illuminati, married to Gisele, born on the 201st day of the year. Brady wins the Super Bowl in Tampa, his last. Throws for 201 yards. It was a big tribute to Saturn. Saturn worship's got that 201, which is why the first Jesuit pope is the first to live in Suite 201 and has a Saturnalia birthday, like his birth name equals 201. Anyway, from the day they got divorced to today is 521 days later, which is the 98th prime number. And Tom Brady equals 98, like Patriots, like New England Patriots equals 98. And you can go back and look at all my old work on Brady in 98, Tom Brady in 35. We're in the 35th week of Tom Brady's age. If you go back and look when Tom Brady won the Super Bowl at age 41, in light of this news running 4-1, go back and look at how the mainstream media wrote articles about how Gisele, born on the 201st day of the year, like Jewish mysticism's 201, how she's a good witch helping Tom win games. When you think about Donald Trump, big Tom Brady fan, running on Megas, magic, the highest degree of the Church of Satan, which is all about your ego. Think about Donald Trump's wingman, Tesla. 85 is all over the place right now. Jennifer Garner's father's dead at 85. That owner who just died for Baltimore has the 85 connection. Again, it's the 85th March Madness right now. But headline today, Tesla shares fall 8.5%. Um, 9 days from today will be 78 days before Musk's birthday, and they always do big rituals with 78 and Musk. So really watch which way the stock price is moving. Does it move down sharply before then? Does it kind of stay fuzzy where most indicators going forward aren't looking good right now? There could be a significant movement 78 days from his birthday. Remember, Tesla equals 78 like Jesuit, and he was declared the world's richest man for the first time ever in history on the 78th death anniversary of Nikola Tesla, January 7th, back in the time of the pandemic, passing Jeff Bezos, another Jesuit puppet, Mr. Amazon. They started with making books, paper, like Amazon, like trees. But he passed Jeff Bezos back in the time of the pandemic. You can go back and look at all that old work, not in videos because the YouTube deleted the channels, but the posts are still up on my website, GematriaEffectNews. Mass shooting in Finland today at a school, and a 12-year-old killed a 12-year-old. Um, just notice how a gun is 42, like today's date's 4-2. Finland's one of the rare European countries that still has gun rights. Helsinki is where the story went down at. Gun is 39 in reverse. The name of the school equals 39, and then just 12-year-olds, right? See how gun is 42, 39, 12. All elements of the story. Right date, right location, right age. And I'll remind you of that sick show that they remade on Amazon. Speaking of Jeff Bezos in the time of the pandemic, Utopia, about billionaires raising mass shooters and raising children to sacrifice for news propaganda and also faking a pandemic to depopulate the world to 500 million like the Georgia Guidestones. Go figure. What a show for Amazon to remake. And then, yeah, just if you go through a lot of my recent posts, you'll see that I'm documenting little 85s because I'm just realizing 85 is showing up in everything right now in the time of the 85th March Madness tournament. So, RIP to Jennifer Garner's father. He might have lived longer. At the same time, in show business, to live to 85 is a blessing because we're talking about a lot of entertainers all the time that got out of here way younger. Just like today, the comic book guy, 41, Casey Benjamin, 45. Diddy will be lucky if he makes it to 85. Look at what they did to Bill Cosby at the end of his life. So, all right. Anyway, I got to go. Like I said, take care of some grocery shopping real quick, and take care of dinner over here. We got a hungry, sweet lady. So, thank you as always to everyone who hits the like and the share, and thank you again to 13 Serpents. Your ongoing generosity is amazing and appreciated. And again, thank you. But also make sure you got that rainy day fund for yourself. You never know. So, leave it there, and until next time, True Seeker. Take care.